Hey everybody, how are you? I've got my angel number oracle cards here. I'm going to start shuffling so we can get some oracle cards for our reading. I've got the guiding light tarot there, and the readings with this deck I feel like are pretty interesting because especially if we're doing, since we're doing a weekly forecast, I feel like this deck is going to give us some good information. Like it's going to be honest, it's going to, it's technically a shadow work deck, so like it might give us some information that might be a little hard to hear, but don't be afraid of that because this deck specializes in, sorry, I cut my finger washing dishes, so that's why my finger looks ugly. But this deck does, put a spin on things of like guiding you back to the light. So I think it's going to give us some good information about next week. I hope you've been having a good week. The Halloween is coming up. I hope you're getting into the festive spirit and you have some activities planned. I know I'm doing some festive activities this weekend. That definitely helps when like things are getting darker, it's getting colder, things like, I don't know, the sadness starts to kick in at some point around this time of the year for me. So doing like festive stuff definitely helps me. I think this weekend I might be going to a haunted house and I might be, the other one is like a pumpkin jack-o'-lantern thing. So that should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Lots of twos here. Interesting. I wonder if there's going to be like a theme. And then this one is like really random, very different from the other energies. Okay. Anyways, let me know if you're doing something fun in the comments down below. Maybe that'll give me some ideas about some other festive things that I should do. So all the way on our left, we have oh my gosh, I forgot. I always forget these crystal names. You guys have to forgive me. I think this is a gold stone. You cannot see the glitter in it. It does glitter. You cannot see it because it's dark, although it's a very sunny day out today. Maybe I should turn some more lights on. Anyways, and then the oracle card for that reading is 2713, mindfulness. So perhaps if you've been working on mindfulness, trying to stay present in life recently, or maybe you just feel like you need some more of that energy, this could be the reading for you. Next, we have yellow calcite. I always get this one confused for citrine. This is not citrine, it's yellow calcite. And the oracle card for that is 202, perseverance. So if you feel like you have been going through a difficult time and you've just been trying to get through, or maybe you want some more energy of that perseverance, then this could be for you. You can see on both of these oracle cards, there's the eye is this image here. So I feel like these readings will be more geared towards insight and awareness and knowledge. Okay, next we have labradorite. You can see that it flashes. Yes, okay, it shows up. When I first got this, I dropped it. Let me see. Yeah, I dropped it. Isn't that sad? But I've been trying to hide it from you guys, but today I felt like being honest. I don't know. Showing you my truth. And then the oracle card for that is 222, alignment. So this, I feel like this is definitely a popular angel number just because people like the 3 numbers repeated. That's meaningful for a lot of people. So if that number calls out to you, this might be your reading. But if you can see the heart, if you've been like very focused on your love life or matters of the heart recently, or maybe you just want to bring yourself into alignment a little bit more, maybe even just with your higher self, or if it's for romance, it could be with your partner or your soulmate, finding your soulmate. I don't know, anything like that. Maybe that will be the energy of this reading. I do think it will be because typically, side note, with these oracle cards, like they are supposed to draw you to the reading, but they draw you to the reading because they're like thematically aligned with the information in the reading. So keep that in mind. Lastly, we have howlite. Hopefully that focuses. There we go. And then we have 525, reshape. So if you've been working on life changes, wanting to change your life, reshaping yourself, like this could be about your attitude, your mind, but it could also be about, the way that your life looks in general. And then we have the triangle in the middle, which is usually about stability. So if there's things with stability, then keep that in mind. Or maybe the number is just calling to you. I mean, you can also definitely look up these crystals online and see their spiritual meanings. And if those speak to you, then you can use that as well. So I hope that something is calling out to you. If it's not, feel free to pause the video, take a little mindfulness moment, some deep breaths, clear your head, things like that. And once something is calling out to you, I will see you at your weekly forecast. Hey everybody, welcome to the first reading of the weekly forecast. We have the Goldstone on the left and the Oracle card is 2713 Mindfulness. Let me know if that spoke to you or if the crystal spoke to you in the comments. I'm always curious. And then I've kept my angel number cards here in the corner just in case we have, we want some clarification or an additional message. As always, if you've been here before, I do a Celtic Cross for these readings. So they're pretty extensive and we take a significant dive into the energies of next week. So you'll get a lot of information from this for sure. Keep in mind that sometimes when you want to look forward, that means that you might see some things, can be a little intimidating, but don't worry. The point of this is that you won't be blindsided. When you look forward and you see something intimidating, you're not going to be blindsided, and then you'll also get some information on how to deal with it. So the first card is about your energy for next week, and your energy is of the 10 of Pentacles, which I feel like is great. That's a very positive card. I'm loving that for you. So your energy being the 10 of Pentacles means that things are just in general going to be feeling very fulfilling for you. So this could be from, a partnership that you have with another person, because the 10 of Pentacles can be about, family life, but it can also be about career and work, feeling very fulfilled and that you have a lot of confidence in the future. Maybe there will be, some like a long-term, you're feeling like long-term gains. So this could also mean that like maybe a long-term project that you've been working on, you might have some success in, but this could also just mean that you're feeling very confident and like things are going your way next week. So let's take a look at the next card. The next card is the challenge for the week. This doesn't have to be something like life-shattering, overwhelming. This is just something that you might be dealing with next week, and it can be minor, so keep that in mind. Don't be like too intimidated by these challenge cards, and sometimes you might expect them to show up in your life in a really big way and they don't, so keep that in mind as well. So King of Swords, you might experience some conflict with another person next week. That's the energy that I'm getting here. Someone else you might experience some challenges with another person. Think air sign, and when you think king, this could be more of a masculine energy, so it might be an air sign man, but masculine doesn't necessarily mean man, so keep that in mind. And when this card, I tend to read when the guidebook has reversals in it, like this deck does, I read the challenge as a reversal. So in this case, this person, you might perceive them as kind of authoritarian. So they might be telling you what to do or how to do it, or forcing you to do things their way. And then they also might be kind of intimidating. So you might be like afraid to stand up to them or speak up to them. And so, your relationship with this person might be a bit of a challenge for you next week. Let's take a look at the energy of your conscious mind. So things that might be on your mind actively next week, you're thinking about. I just have to, I want to make sure that you guys can see me shuffling, and sometimes I like bring the cards close to me and then I forget that you guys can't see. Interesting. Okay, so the dynamic with this person is definitely going to be on your mind. The Emperor is all about who's the one in control here. And the Emperor is about being in control of your life, making the decisions, having healthy boundaries with other people in your life. And perhaps, if this person you feel like is the one in charge and is the Emperor, then this dynamic is definitely going to be on the forefront of your mind next week. Let's take a look at your unconscious mind. I typically, whenever you guys see a bunch of cards fall out and I just pick them up, it's because I typically only want to see one card. And if I get a bunch and like none of them are really speaking to me, then I just throw them back in and I keep shuffling. Anyways, let's take a look at the unconscious mind. Okay, so in the, oh, you guys can't even see it. A bunch of cards fell out here, right? But one of them separated itself. So I'm going to take that one. In the unconscious mind, so I typically, this can just be as simple as something that's on the back of your mind. It's influencing things next week, but you might not like realize it. It'll be influencing your mindset and the thoughts that you're having. But this could also be something that you're maybe repressing or suppressing, and it's come up here because you should be more aware of it for next week. And Six of Cups reversed tends to be about greediness and hostility and like bad memories. So you might, because overall, I think you're going to be feeling like things are going really well for you. And you're like, yes, life is great. Things are going well. And so you might be thinking a little bit of like, am I asking for too much? Or is this person asking for too much? Could be that too. So it could be either that greediness of like, they're being greedy. Or is it like, am I being greedy? Am I asking for too much? But this could also just be you reflecting on memories with this person. Maybe you don't have a great history with this person. And so you might be kind of like just thinking about those unhappy memories in the back of your mind. You have those negative experiences with them, and that might be kind of like adding fire to this conflict. You might feel kind of hostile towards them, or they might be hostile, have been hostile towards you in the past, that type of thing. I think let's take a look at, sorry, a card just flew. This card fell out. Oh, that's two cards. Let's keep shuffling. Let's see what we get. We're going to take a look at the past next. I'm just seeing if a card turned itself over. I thought it did, but maybe not. Okay, let's take a look at the past. So this is something from the past. It doesn't have to be like real. A card did turn over. It doesn't have to be like really far in the past. It can be like recently happened that is impacting your experiences next week. So try to figure out what that event is. It could be an event. It could be a relationship. It could be like a theme from your past that might be popping up. Let's take a look and see what we get. Okay. All right, this card turned itself over. Eight of Swords. So that feeling of being trapped is something that, in your past that is going to be impacting your experiences next week. That feeling of being trapped. And it's important to keep in mind when you see the Eight of Swords that it's your own mindset, your own thinking, your own worrying that's actually keeping you trapped. And you want to understand that so you can free yourself from this trap. So like, sorry if you can hear that, some obnoxious thing is driving by. So your mind is a trap of your own making here, and that might have caused you a lot of like anxiety and worry and frustration in the past. And that type of thinking is from your past is going to be influencing what you're experiencing next week. So keep that in mind. Let's take a look at the near future. So I tend to interpret this position as like the energy of earlier on in the week. Let's see. This card is the only one that's turned over, so I'll take this. Four of Swords. Okay. Earlier in the week, there is going to be an energy, like you're going to want to, well, or maybe not want to, you will be resting, recovering, healing, focusing on yourself, taking a break, trying to detach and like rest. Contemplate, meditate. Maybe that's why this mindfulness card was kind of attractive to you, if that's what brought you here to this reading. That will be the energy of earlier in the week. You're going to be kind of like minding your own business, trying to rest and recover your energies. So next, let's take a look at your internal influences. So this is kind of like, how you'll be affecting the experiences next week. Okay. Page of Pentacles. So I think in this case, these are aspects of yourself because a court card kind of speaks to the self, speaks to the personality. And so I think in this case, this will be aspects of you and aspects of yourself that will be impacting, you know, what goes down next week. And I think with the Page of Pentacles, that's your willingness to experiment and try new things. Like, you're willing to learn, and you learn from doing. So that practice, maybe even like that idea of like, I'm willing to talk to somebody and take direction from somebody else. And maybe that's how you end up in this kind of a situation where it's like, okay, I want to learn from somebody else. I'm willing to take direction, but then this person might just take it a little bit too far and become a little bit too authoritarian. Let's take a look at the external influences. That flew out very fast. External influences for next week. So this could be like the energy of your environment, the surroundings, kind of like what the universe is pushing you towards. This could be another person. In this case, I think, okay, these two kind of relate to each other because we have the Hermit reversed here. So it's this feeling of loneliness, this wanting to escape, right? Hello, this feeling of trapped from your past. Maybe if you have a history of depression or like being cast out, so in this one, this is like external. I think like there might be pressure that like if things don't go the way that other people want them to, that you might be cast out. Maybe this might, like this energy of resting and relaxing could morph into this feeling of loneliness and feeling detached from the people around you. Let's take a look at a hope or a fear. This one already turned over. I think this is a fear. You're afraid of hurting other people's feelings, but you're also afraid of getting your feelings hurt. Like, I don't think that, you might be afraid of conflict a little bit, and like you don't want to cause anybody any heartache, and you don't want to feel any heartache. And like maybe it's to the point where, again, you avoid conflict and you don't really want to address the problem. And like the communication especially can be hard for you, and when you're in a conflict. And so maybe, you're trying to like keep your mouth shut about the heartache and the sorrow because you're afraid of that. But, you're going to have to speak up, I think. Let's take a look at the this is like the overarching energy of next week. Or it could be the energy of later in the week. I kind of leave that up to you guys to decide. And so it could be either. And for you, it's the Tower reversed. Don't be afraid of the Tower. That's one that people tend to be very afraid of. Don't be afraid of it. It's like the card of just about divine intervention. When something's not working in your life, then the universe comes in and changes it for you. So you have it reversed. So like unexpected changes. And I think like this whole situation where we're dealing with, this kind of a conflict with this person, thinking about who's in control of your life. You have some unhappy memories. You feel like you're being trapped. You're like, okay, I need to take a moment and reconnect with my mindfulness. And then, the heartache, I don't know, all of these things, right? You're going to want to, it might lead to like a big change happening, or like things just kind of coming to a head in this situation. Again, it doesn't have to be this big, massive blow up. It could just be something like, okay, I'm going to sit down and actually have a talk with this person and like figure it out. Or maybe this person will come to you, because the Tower is also like about things happening that are outside of your control. So it could be that this person might come to you and try to address whatever is happening with you. But keep in mind that your Tower is actually reversed. So things are going to get better. I interpret it as that. It's like change for the better. If things have gone wrong in the past, this is the attempt to like make it right. Oh my gosh, all these cards fell out. So I want to pull an extra card here because I know that the Tower can be a little frightening to see. Again, don't be scared of it, but I know it can be frightening. So I'm going to pull an extra card here. Let me move these just to give you some like additional advice for you, something to keep in mind as you're going through these experiences. I do think mindfulness is going to be key. Like, you want to be centered. You want to be mindful of everything that you're doing. And the additional message for you here, 2424, unconditional love. So I think keep in mind, especially, I don't know, maybe this person you have some kind of like a closer relationship with, there might be some love involved. Keep in mind that like there might be love at the root of all of this, right? Like this person might be kind of like telling you what to do and how to do it because there's love there. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you do well. Alternatively, you know, you might want to address this conflict, or they might want to address this conflict because there is love there, and you know, you want to make it right, you want to make the relationship better and things like that. Just keep in mind this idea of love and unconditional love, loving people for their good parts and their bad parts and their faults and things like that. Okay, I hope that dropped something. I hope that this reading helped you in some way, and I hope you feel prepared for next week. Don't be afraid. You know, these things can seem super big. Like I've probably said this a million times, but like these things can seem big when I'm talking about them, but they might not actually manifest in this big dramatic way, right? So keep that in mind, and I hope you enjoy next week. I wish you peace. I wish you love. I wish you happiness. And let me know in the comments if like you have a clarifying question, because I can just do a 1-card pull for you and reply to your comment. So thank you for spending some time with me today, and I hope I'll see you again in a future video. Hey everybody, welcome to reading number 2 for the weekly forecast. You can see on the left we have the yellow calcite, and the card is 202, Perseverance. I kept my angel number cards here just in case I wanted to pull another message for you, maybe follow up on something. But we'll see how it goes. Keep in mind that with these weekly forecasts, right, sometimes when you look forward, you might see things that might seem a little spooky, but this is just like for the week, right? So like I doubt that, you know, things can sometimes, I don't even know how to phrase this properly, I guess. Like when you're doing tarot, sometimes things can seem very intense, and they might not manifest as intensely as they seem in the cards. So keep that in mind. Also, the goal is just to come out of this for you with like some insight into what to expect and how to handle things. Like I'm not going to leave you hanging with something like frightening, you know? Anyways, I just feel like putting in a preface, because sometimes these readings can go in an unexpected direction, and I just want you guys to be prepared. So the first card is the card to represent your energy for next week, and you have the 5 of Swords. So makes sense considering your oracle card is 202, Perseverance. You might feel a little defeated next week with this 5 of Swords. 5 of Swords can sometimes indicate like an argument or a battle, and motorcycle outside. This could be with another person, but this also just might be speaking to your general attitude or your general experience of life next week. Feeling like you're gonna have to do some work to overcome whatever you're going through. You're feeling like a little defeated, maybe a little tired. Let's take a look at the challenge. So this deck does reversals, so I will interpret a challenge card from this deck as kind of like the reversal of that card. Let's see what we get. Sometimes, you know, the intensity of the card does play out, particularly with the challenge card, because like the challenge, you know, might not be something super big, but might just be something little that you go through next week, like something that you're thinking about. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out for you. But you have the Empress in the challenge card. So again, that challenge, dealing with hardships, definitely. I mean, I don't know if you feel like you've had some scarcity in your life right now, maybe with your resources, perhaps even with your own emotional resources. Like resources can be physical, but it can also be emotional, especially with this Empress card, because the Empress is all about nurturing and having to care for other people. And like maybe you just feel like you're running on empty, like you don't have much to give, and that could be the challenge for next week. Let's take a look at your conscious thoughts. So this is something that will be on the forefront of your mind. You might actively be thinking about next week. whole bunch of cards that, oh, this one stayed behind. So I'm going to take this one. So this is something, again, on the forefront of your mind, something that you might be thinking about. And you have the Nine of Wands. So the Nine of Wands to me is you are thinking about trying to maintain your self-control, trying to maintain discipline. Like even in the face of like adversity and things being really challenging, you are going to be thinking about, I need to be strong. I need to get through this. I have to maintain my discipline and my self-control. Like you might even feel like I have to get through this because I have other people relying on me, or people are expecting something of me. And you might feel like people are looking at you as a role model. So these thematically are all pretty aligned with each other, these cards. Let's take a look at the unconscious. See what we get here. This card flipped itself over. Three of Wands. Okay, so this is something that might be on the back of your mind. It's still influencing things next week, but I typically see it as something that's on the back of your mind, but it could also be something that you're like repressing or suppressing that you don't really want to think about. I feel like cards that usually turn up in here are things that need to be brought out of your unconscious or subconscious, because why else would they turn up here if you didn't need to know about them? So for you, with the Three of Wands, like in the back of your mind, I think it's like having that optimism and that sense of adventure of like, I don't know where things are going right now, but actually, you know what, this could be kind of exciting. Or like, you know, let's think about what path I actually want to take. What is my path forward? Where should I actually be investing my time and my energy in order to succeed? So thinking about pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Maybe you want to think about that a little bit more. Like maybe this is all feeling really uncomfortable because you're just outside of your comfort zone. But think of all the possibilities that come with being outside of your comfort zone. You know, let's take a look at your past. So this could be just like an event from your past. It could be a person. It could also be more like thematic, like a group of events that have happened in your past that are impacting what you're experiencing next week. And you have the Devil reversed. So that's a major arcana card. So I would interpret that as a little bit more thematic, but as I describe the meaning of the card, you know, maybe something will pop into your mind of like, oh, I know what experience that's talking about. So when the Devil's reversed, think unwise choices, manipulation, maybe like taking the easy way instead of the hard way, things like that. Like the little devil on your shoulder telling you, you know, do what's best for you, do what you want, do what's going to be fun, do what's going to be easy. And, you know, maybe you made some kind of an unwise choice in the past because of that, and now it's affecting things this week. I could see that like you maybe made an unwise choice in the past. Human, we all do that at some point, you know, but maybe you're like really reflecting on that and then like, I better make sure I do everything right this time because I'm making up for what happened here, you know? Let's take a look at the near future. I tend to interpret this as the energy of like earlier on in the week. That's too many cards. Let's see. Hello? Okay, that one is upright. So we have the Two of Wands. Okay, so that's something that you can expect for earlier on in the week rather than later on. And it does speak typically to some kind of an event that you might experience, or like, I don't know, stuff from earlier in the week. So you might actually have to make a decision earlier in the week about what you're going to do and how you're going to move forward, right? So it might actually be a little bit more of an important moment, because it's going to decide, you need to decide how you're going to move forward. Are you going to accept, you might be presented even with something unexpected, and it's whether you're going to accept it or how you're going to take it and how you're going to move forward, or even just thinking about like, what approach do I want to take to life right now, especially if you're feeling like things are difficult and you're like just having to persevere. So you're going to have to make some kind of a choice earlier in the week. I'm going to pull an angel number card here, just some advice for this experience for you. Let's see what we get. Oh, 2 cards. Okay, I'll accept both. So as you're faced with this choice next week, 1031, 3003, right? These numbers might come up maybe. as a reminder of this reading or some reassurance for you, you're going to want to focus on what are you passionate about? What gives you passion and what inspires you? What do you want to do moving forward? Especially if you feel like you're a role model for people are reliant on you. Does that inspire you? Are you passionate about that? These kinds of things. So keep these two things in mind for your decision earlier in the week. Let me move these over because we're going to move on to this next column here. I'll put these here for you. Those might be in the way a little bit. I don't know why I'm thinking so deeply about where things should go. We already got that. Okay, so this is your internal influence. So what you're doing and how you're actually impacting the events of next week. The Fool reverse is kind of interesting because the Fool does speak to being at like the start of something. Like perhaps you've been thinking about, if you're in this difficult situation, maybe you've been thinking about starting fresh. But when you see the Fool reversed, you're going to want to be careful about foolishness, gullibility, ignorance. Like make sure you're actually educated on what's happening and what all of the paths are. Do not make decisions quickly. This is the moment to take a second, especially when you're faced with this. Make sure you're fully educated on this decision and make sure that you're not moving hastily. Like take your time with this decision. Make sure you know everything. Don't make a foolish decision, that kind of stuff. Let's take a look at external influences. This could be like the energy of your environment or like other people in your life, or maybe even just like a situation that the universe has, put you in, that you found yourself in. Let's see what we got. Fell on the floor. Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so I think you are going to be presented with a new opportunity, especially in relation to like resources. Think like Pentacles, I tend to think like career, finances. Sometimes it can speak to family relationships because Pentacles is about the material world and all things material. So I think you are going to be put into a situation where you're presented with a new opportunity and it's going to be coming from outside of yourself. So this is not an opportunity that you're creating for yourself. This is something that might be presented to you. So we have Knight of Wands reversed in particular. So this position is all about a hope or a fear, and I tend to interpret it depending on what the actual card is. So the Knight of Wands reversed, I would interpret more as a fear. You're maybe afraid of being reckless, and like, again, the same energy kind of as this Fool reverse card. Like you want to be careful about being reckless and making decisions too quickly because you're also afraid of doing that, right? And I think you also maybe do have some adventurous spirit, considering the reflection in both of these cards of that adventure type thing. You want to be inspired and you might want to go in a new direction, but you're afraid of being reckless. Let's take a look at, so the last card I tend to interpret as the like overarching energy of the week, the outcome. It's technically this position, so it could be overarching energy, but it could also just be the energy of later in the week. I leave that up to you guys to decide whatever is feeling right to you. So you have the Magician. So for you, this element of choice is definitely going to be big because you are going to be presented with this opportunity. Like all of these are kind of reflecting each other, these cards. It's going to be whatever you want to make of it. It's going to be up to you to seize that opportunity and turn it into something that you want. You might have to do a little bit of problem solving as a result of this, and you're going to have to use and apply your knowledge here. Make sure you're solution oriented and like really thinking on your feet. And honestly, this whole situation is going to be whatever you want and whatever you make of it. Let me pull another card here just to give you some parting words of advice with this Magician card. That's too many. Now I'm wrecking the spread. Let's see what we get. Whoop. This card kind of popped out. 666, reflect. All right. So as you're presented with this new opportunity, this chance to make choices and things like that, make sure you're taking a moment to reflect. Think on what it actually is that you want. All of these cards here. Okay, I hope you enjoyed your reading. If you have a clarifying question, feel free to leave it in the comments because I can always do like a single card pull for you and I'll just reply to your comment with the answer. I wish you the best for next week. Peace, love, happiness, security, all of those good things. Feel free to check back again next week for the next weekly forecast. And if you want to like I technically do these as timeless. So like whenever you find them, it'll just be your next 7 days. So feel free to check out the other ones if you ever want like an update. You can check out the older ones. It's not a problem. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope I'll see you again in a future video. Hey guys, welcome to reading number 3. We have the Labradorite on the left and the 222 alignment oracle card. I am anticipating that this might have to do with more matters of the heart. It could be romance related, but matters of the heart doesn't necessarily have to be. I think, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways, I have my angel number cards here just in case I want to pull like a clarification or additional advice or whatever. But let's get into it. That fell out very fast. Before I get into this though, I do want to say that like whenever you look forward, things can sometimes seem kind of scary. Don't worry. I'm not going to like leave you hanging with something scary. And honestly, this is just a reading for a week. So like things can appear very intense in the cards and like they're not going to manifest as intensely as they seem, So just keep that in mind. Like you have to keep things to scale, right? So this is just a week. So just remember that things might not manifest as intensely as they're sounding in the cards or in the reading, and to just like take things as they come. So the first card is your energy. So the energy that you are feeling next week in the space that you're in, and you have the World. Very interesting because this is the final card in the major arcana. You might be feeling like you're wrapping up this stage in your life and you're getting ready to move on to the next thing. Whenever I see the World, I do think fulfillment, completion, conclusion, and in like a good way. Like you're like feeling satisfied, like that things have reached their end. You might have learned a whole bunch of lessons. You're finishing this journey. And then as always with the tarot, the World wraps back into the Fool and you're ready to step on into the next thing. So feeling a little bit liberated. Maybe you've cleared some karma, things like that. Let's take a look at the challenge. So this deck does do reversals, so I do tend to interpret the card for the challenge as a reversal of that card. And the challenge is definitely one of those ones where it's like you have to keep the like intensity in mind because it might not be as intense as it seems. The challenge, in the reading. So for you, we have the 6 of Cups. So the challenge for you next week is going to be like confronting maybe some unhappy memories that you have. And I could see how that could be the case because if you're like wrapping up a stage in your life and getting ready to move on to the next thing, sometimes these unhappy memories might come to the surface to kind of like test you a little bit. This could also refer to dealing with a little bit of greed or hostility, whether that's, within yourself or from other people. Keep that in mind for next week. Let's take a look at your conscious thoughts. So this is something that like will be on your mind next week. You'll be more actively thinking about. Did I read that right? Yes, 9 of Wands. So this is something that will be on your mind that you'll be thinking about. And for you, that's like having this duty to uphold. Other people might look to you as a role model. So you might be thinking like, oh, okay, people are relying on me, or, these people are looking up to me. What do I need to do? You might be thinking a lot about self-control or like staying strong when things are difficult, being loyal, having discipline, like all of those things might end up being on your mind next week. Especially I could see if you're dealing with some unhappy memories, I could see how those things, could trigger those thoughts. Let's take a look at the unconscious mind. I tend to think of this as something that's on the back of your mind, but it's still influencing your experience of next week. Like it's influencing your perception because it is something that's happening, but just in the back of your mind. And the cards that usually pop up here are something that you need to bring more to the forefront, bring it out of the unconscious, because otherwise, why would you need to know that it's happening? So you have the Magician here. So that element of like I'm in charge of, like, I have the potential to create any opportunity that I want. The choices that I make are important because they influence my reality. Having this problem-solving mindset, that, like, applying your knowledge, being clever, like, all of those things. So if you're getting ready to move on to the next opportunity, you know, start thinking about, what do you want that reality to look like? You know, whether you feel like you're capable of bringing, you know, your desires into a reality, manifesting and things like that. You're going to want to start to think about that. Let's take a look at the past. Whoops. You know, so far I'm not getting heavy romance from this. I mean, you could apply all of these things to a romantic context if you would like. Perhaps you're experiencing these things in your love life. I'm going to take this one since it was on top. So, Knight of Swords from your past. Court card in the past, I tend to think of as a person from your past. And I'm just going to describe the Knight of Swords to you, and you can see if that rings any particular bells. So, the Knight of Swords is clear-headed, logical, decisive, cunning, mentally sharp, tend to think like air sign, masculine air sign. Again, doesn't have to be man, just more masculine air sign. So that would be Libra, Aquarius, Gemini. Oh my gosh, I don't know why that was so hard for me. But this person is very clear-headed. They have like goals that they want to achieve, and they move forward and they move quickly. You can see, like, in the image, the Knight of Swords moves so fast that, like, it's blurry. Let's take a look at the near future. I tend to interpret this as like the energy of earlier in the week, and you have, what is that? That's the Hanged Man reversed though. So that's kind of what's going on earlier in the week. The Hanged Man reversed is like feeling a little helpless, a little impatient, maybe a little confused. So I could see that, like, if you're trying to step into the next phase, you might be impatient for that. And you're like, I don't want to sit around and wait for things and, like, reflect on my life. Like, I'm ready to go on to the next thing, feeling a little impatient. But you might not have an opportunity yet to actually seize and move on to the next thing. So that might make you feel a little bit helpless. And, you know, you could end up a little confused about what to do or, like, what you should be doing. Let's take a look at your internal influence. So this is like what you're doing that's influencing things next week. And so you have the Hermit. So like this right now, this energy of yours should definitely be focused inward, the energy that you feel. Focus that inward. Go on a little journey of self-discovery. Get to know yourself a little bit better. The Hermit is like having a deep knowledge of the self. Do some introspection. Do some truth seeking. Don't try to seek out other people too much right now, because you don't want to cloud your mind with other people's opinions necessarily. So get to know yourself really well at this time. And doing that is going to influence, you know, how things play out for you. Let's take a look at external. This could be a person. This could be, you know, the vibe. This could be a situation that you're pushed into. Too many cards fell out. Let's take a look. Let's keep shuffling, see what we get. Okay. Those two cards fell out, but this one flipped itself over in my deck. So I'm taking this one. And so for the external, you have Seven of Pentacles reversed. Okay. So, Seven of Pentacles reversed for the external. So I think you are going to want to keep in mind that, like, I think this is more about the vibe, right? So you might feel like your efforts, you're not seeing the fruits of your efforts, and that might be reflected in your environment. You might be wanting to see externally that, like, your efforts are paying off and they're being fruitful, but you might not see those, and you might not, like, feel very successful based off of the environment around you. And I think that's why it's going to be really important to, like, travel inwards, do some introspection, look a little bit deeper in yourself, because you might not be rewarded or validated by external things next week. Let's take a look at a hope or a fear. I tend to interpret this based on the meaning of the card itself, whether it's actually going to end up being a hope or a fear. So for you in this position, we have the 10 of Wands. So I think you might be concerned about like putting your efforts into the wrong thing, the wrong person, the wrong situation, and that you might be like chained to this like unfortunate destiny. That's a fear of yours. I think you might be afraid of like having too many burdens, too many obligations, having too many responsibilities, and you might be afraid of saying no. Do with that information what you will. The hope or the fear card, it's kind of hard to do much with, but it's good insight into your own thinking and your own perception of the situation. And that fear is influencing how things might be playing out next week. Okay, the last card is the outcome card. I kind of take this to mean that could be the energy of later in the week. It could be the biggest energy of the week, like the overarching energy. Let's see what we get. The Sun. Okay. So I think you could keep in mind that like things are gonna be okay. Things are gonna work out. Be prepared for maybe some truth, like especially if you're on this inner journey. Be prepared for the truth to be illuminated. You might find out the truth about something. But the Sun is definitely about growth and transformation for the good, for the positive, right? You need the Sun to grow. You need the Sun to like go through these changes and to become the better version of yourself. So I do think that this is a positive card to end the reading on. Things are going to be okay. Just be ready to grow and transform and face the truth. Let's see. I'll pull an extra card here. Just something for you to keep in mind. Some advice for you as you move across the week. Okay, this one I kind of stumbled upon. Choices. 1, 2, 1, 2 choices. So this relates back to this Magician card here. So understand that the choices that you make are going to influence your reality, and that you do have power, and you have the power to manipulate your existence, your reality, things like that. Okay, I wish you the best for next week. Peace, love, happiness, joy, all of those things, stability. I hope you enjoyed your reading. If you have a clarifying question, leave it in the comments, because I can just do a single card pull and leave the answer for you down there. Otherwise, thank you for spending some time with me today, and I hope I'll see you again in a future video. Hey guys, welcome to reading number 4. We have the Howlite and 525 Reshape. Let me know what brought you here, if it was the Howlite or the Oracle card. I think I put a pretty big emphasis on the Oracle cards in the introduction, so let me know. Let's get into it. I am using a Celtic Cross as always for this reading, and I think it's before, we actually get into it, I think it's important just to reiterate that whenever you want to look forward into what might be coming, things might seem scary, but don't worry, I'm not gonna leave you hanging with some frightening looking news and not help you figure out what to do with it. So keep that in mind. And also, things can come across pretty intense in the card sometimes, and it's just a week, right? So you have to keep in mind the scope, right? It's probably not going to manifest as intensely as it seems in the cards just because it's a week, right? It might, but it probably won't, things might, I don't know, keep the scale in mind, I guess is what I'm saying. So the first card is your energy for next week, and you have the Hierophant reversed. So that's kind of interesting for a personal, your energy, because the Hierophant is about feeling like you've mastered the mysteries of life, and you have this deep knowledge and this deep understanding. But the Hierophant reversed could maybe be you feel very lost in life, you feel confused. The Hierophant can also be about seeking advice from somebody else, or getting help from an institution like a church or a school or things like that. And you might have felt misled, misguided, somebody might have given you the wrong advice. And yeah, I think that that's probably what it is. I don't know. I'm hoping that we get some additional context as we pull more cards. Let's see what's going on. So next is the challenge. In this deck does reversals, so I do interpret the challenge card as a reversal. And then, like I said, like literally a minute ago, like keep in mind the scope. So the challenge might not be this big, massive thing that you need to overcome next week. You know, it might be something small, but for you, you have the moon. So that element of confusion, not knowing how to move forward, maybe dealing with a little bit of delusion happening, feeling very negative about things, maybe dealing with some despair, things like that. Let's see what else is going on. This is seeming interesting so far. Let's take a look at the conscious thoughts. Seven of Cups reversed. Okay. Lots of reversal energy happening here. I can see why you might have been drawn here to that reshape card, like not being satisfied with how things are going maybe and wanting to make a change. Seven of Cups reversed is about like, it could speak to this delusion, right? This wishful thinking. You might have a lot of fantasies about what you want things to look like, but you might also be presented with a lot of choices, have a lot of ways forward, and you don't really know what to do, and it's kind of paralyzed you, especially if you feel like you've been misguided or you don't have enough information to move forward. Like you just feel like you might not know what to do or where to go, and then that might be because you just have so many choices that it's like, I'm paralyzed by this. I don't really know what to do. So hopefully we get some advice here, because this is definitely a card of inaction. So like, especially in the conscious mind position, it's like not being able to make a clear choice, a clear decision, thinking clearly about things. So unconscious mind, I tend to take as like something that's happening in the back of your mind that is definitely influencing your perception of next week, because it's influencing your thinking. But typically when a card like this, unconscious mind, I tend to take these cards as like, you need to bring this to the forefront. Otherwise, why would it be in this reading at all? This is something that you need to be aware of and acknowledge. So Five of Wands here, this is about conflict and competition, but healthy conflict and healthy competition in this deck, because it keeps things moving forward. Thinking about standing up for yourself, what your own interests are, even if it means you have to disagree with others. So especially if you've been getting advice, you know, maybe you do feel like deep down you disagree with it, and you're thinking about standing up for yourself, but you might not be sure of what to do and how to go about it, and that might lead to some inaction. I feel like I want to pull an angel number card for you right now, just to give us some, I don't know, some advice, some reassurance about how you can deal with this. Let me put all these back and like fix this. I hate when the cards go out of place. I don't know why it bothers me so much. Let's see. I know I want some reassurance for you. I hope you do too, because otherwise be a waste of my time. And I hope you haven't been scared off. Don't be scared off yet. We still have a lot to go, and like, we're gonna get through this together. Don't be afraid. Hope this card comes out soon. Okay, hello, what do we got? Progress. Okay, so dealing with this situation, understand that like facing this is going to lead to growth and progress. You can see the butterfly on there. Like, this is a moment of transformation and of change, and you're making progress, even if it feels like you're not. Sometimes all we have to do is just acknowledge, reflect, and actually think about, like, give ourselves a reality check of like, what's actually going on right now? And sometimes that's enough to make progress on a situation. Maybe you'll see these numbers 1, 2, 3 as a little reminder or reassurance. So this is something from the past that it could be like an event, a specific event. It could just be like thematically something that's impacting what you're experiencing this week. It might be like even something that you remember, or might be on your mind. There was a moment in the past where you were maybe faced with a decision and you hesitated and you were afraid. And that moment is somehow reflected in this situation this week. And I could see how it could be, because this is about inaction, right? This card up here is about inaction, being kind of paralyzed. Reflect on this moment where you were kind of paralyzed and afraid and hesitated on a decision, because there might be some nugget of wisdom in there for you. this is the energy of the near future. So I kind of tend to take this as like earlier on in the week. And Page of Swords. So this could mean two things. This could be a person earlier in the week, a separate person, separate from yourself, might have an influence. But this could also just be aspects of yourself that might come out earlier on in the week. And the Page of Swords is like having a lot of ideas, hello, but not a lot of focus, hello. So you're like generating a lot of thoughts, but eventually you're going to have to make choices. So I feel like this is definitely going to be the energy of earlier in the week, that having too many options, too many ways forward, a lot of thoughts, but kind of being paralyzed, right? But stay curious. It seems like you're curious here. It seems like you're open-minded, and that energy might actually be helping you. Let's take a look at the internal influences. So when I say that, I mean like this is the way that you are impacting the events that transpire next week. And we have the Four of Pentacles. Okay, so Four of Pentacles here, I think you typically, you are in the headspace of wanting to protect your resources. That's usually what the Four of Pentacles indicates. You don't want to experience any loss, especially if it's like to do with finances, but Pentacles can talk about like material resources, but this could also refer to like emotional resources, like your own personal time, your own personal energy. And you have this energy of like, okay, I want to save things. I want to conserve things. I want to be careful with my resources. And that might be adding to this whole situation, that like desire to like hold on to things and protect things. Let's take a look at the external influences. So this is like the energy of the environment. This could be a situation that you're put in, another person. These are things outside of you that are impacting the way that things play out next week. And we have Judgment reversed. So okay, so as an external influences, I think this could be that other people might be judging you or stereotyping you, or this could be that like you have been taught these things by other people. You've been taught certain prejudices, you've been taught certain stereotypes, and like that is maybe not serving you. So like the assumptions that other people are making about you, or the assumptions that you were taught to make, might not be helping you here. I hope that makes sense. Let's take a look at a hope or a fear. I tend to interpret this card based off of like the card that comes out, like what the meaning of that is, whether it's a hope or a fear. And you have the Star. Okay, so I think this is probably a hope. You want to have purpose in life. You want to have a path forward. You do want to move forward. You don't want to be stuck in this like, I don't know what to do, I don't know which way to go situation forever. You do want to move forward, and you do want to have hope. You are like yearning for something, and you do want something. You want to be inspired. You want to like work towards something bigger than yourself. And you're hoping that you can like find that and move towards that. Let's take a look at the outcome. So this could mean two things. This could mean like just the energy of like the end of the week, the later in the week, but this could also just be like the biggest overarching energy here. And I leave that up to you guys to interpret. So 10 of Cups for you, that makes me kind of excited. So like things are going to be okay, and you should know that things are going to be okay. I think like with the 10 of Cups in particular, this is like you are going to experience like profound joy, and especially from your relationships and the people around you, like happiness. Find happiness in your relationships. I don't know if like all of this that you're dealing with has anything to do with your relationships, but if you're going through that, like if this is not about your relationships, then look for the joy in your relationships and just enjoy the people around you right now. Like share with the people around you, share your dreams, like enjoy the harmony with the people around you. And if this is about your relationships with other people, then keep in mind that it'll all work out. It's all going to be okay. I'm going to pull another angel number card for you just to see, like, I don't know, just to get maybe some reassurance or like an additional message. Maybe you'll see these numbers next week. I don't know. I tend to look like, I've been seeing so many numbers in license plates recently. Okay, 444 protection. I think this reminds me of this card down here. This card, it kind of reminds me of, but you are protected. Remember that you're protected. It's going to be okay. The square is all about like support. So like find support in the people around you. Remember that you're protected and have faith that things are going to be okay, because they will be okay, I think. Let me know if you have a clarifying question, because I can just do a single card pull for you and reply to you in the comments. Otherwise, I wish you the best for next week. Peace, joy, love, happiness, calmness, stability, whatever that you're seeking. I hope that you find it. And let me know if the reading resonated for you. Thank you for joining me and spending some time with me. And I hope I'll see you again in a future video.